So, hello, we have people. Charlotte.
Yay, people! Happy Friday, everyone.
Happy day. Welcome, Christella. Welcome to your new job, by the way. Congratulations. Hope it's all going well. I'm Teresa, in case you haven't worked that out.
And I'm Charlotte. Hopefully, it will tell you my name somewhere on the title.
I think it has. Right. You're the lead on this, Charlotte.
Yes, excellent. Well, okay. So today we are going to be doing basically a very much whistle-stop tour of mmunicMail, the platform. And I'm hoping this will be really useful if you've never done email marketing before in another platform, but also if you maybe have done it and you're looking to see, well, I think I know what I'm doing if this was MailChimp, but I now need to know what I'm doing in mmunicMail. Please go ahead and ask questions as we go along. I'm going to trust you, Teresa, to manage the chat and interrupt me. And Teresa's also going to be my slow down Charlotte.
What do you mean by that, Charlotte? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. You're going to be my, the audience representation. Okay, so on your screen...
More Jiminy Cricket, but never mind. Carry on.
Well, on your screen now, you should be seeing a little outline of what we're going to be covering today. And it's going to be broken down into 3 core topics, and that is designing your email templates, creating lists, and then sending campaigns. The platform has so much more than this, so much so that we could spend hours and hours boring you about it. But these are the core things. Well, these are the core things you'll need to do for every campaign that you want to send. And then everything else is the bells and whistles, which is boring until you need them. So we'll do further webinars, I imagine, going to talk about these extra things. But so the categories are broken down into designing your email templates, and that includes creating your email profiles, setting up custom domains, using the drag and drop email designer, adding personalization, and sending inbox tests. Then we'll be looking at creating lists, and that will include how to organize data in your spreadsheets, setting up custom fields to load data that's unique to your business, and then uploading a list itself into the system. And then finally, we'll be doing sending campaigns, and that includes pre-flight checks. And pre-flight basically means everything that you want to review before you have to hit that red button and, you know, get the squeaky feeling in your pants, which is exactly what it's for. And then you've got your automatic retargeting, which it sounds like 2 gobbledygook words, but they will make sense when we come to them. All righty. So moving on. Email profiles. Now, I think this is a term that's quite specific to mmunicMail, but it all adds up and makes sense, and you'll probably be familiar with it with other things. So what are email profiles? They're used to deliver fundamental information in that email about who it's from, and that will include the name, the from name that appears in your inbox, to the actual email address it's from, and then things like how replies should be handled. So if someone receives your email and hits the reply button, where does that email go, and the other bits and bobs to do with it. And then lesser known things such as how your email engagement is going to be tracked, and then what happens when people opt out from a campaign. So I'm going to come off the slide now and go into sharing my screen. And this is a brand new account on the email marketing platform. So if you're using an existing account like Christella is, you'll see something completely different when you first log in. But this is a brand new blank account. So when we log in, we're going to see just this little guide, really. And then to find our email profiles, we go under templates, expand that there, and we hit this. And what we've got here is the options to set up a brand new email profile. we're going to give it a name, and that's your internal name. So I'm calling it the Munich demo. And then we've got a from name here. Now, this from name is the one that appears in the inbox. So I'm not going to leave that as Munich demo. Instead, I'm now going to put, I don't know, the Munich team. And then this is the bit that everybody is keen to know about. What is the from email address? If you leave it set as is, it will use the system default, and the system default domain is mailer.munich.email. However, if I click on this drop-down list, I can see other domains that have been verified for this account. Now, I've already verified mailer.munich.co.uk, and I'm going to use that one. And I'll come back in a minute just to show you how you can go about setting up those custom domains. I'm going to call that, though, the bit before the @ symbol. Teresa, am I making sense, or am I doing okay so far?
While you're just doing that, I just want to just say, people might say, well, why don't you put Teresa Connell in or Charlotte Garrow in? And you can do. However, does that person who's receiving the email know who you are, or do they know the company? And that's really quite important to what that from name is. If they're clients of yours and you know them and they know who you are, you've just spoken to them, you can do that email setup as your name. If they don't, if it is just an email coming from the company, say the company name, because otherwise people will wonder, well, who's that then? And delete it. So you've got to think about how well do they know you personally or from a company point of view.
That's a really good advice there, Teresa.
I know, I've done this before.
Well, in this case, we're setting up a fairly generic one called the Munich team at mailer.munich.co.uk. So that's who the email is going to be sent from. The next options you've got are, where do the replies go? So why do we have a separate reply address? Well, that's because this email address isn't actually attached to an inbox. So that means that if someone replies direct to that email's not going to go anywhere. So what we need to do now is specify a reply inbox that it's going to go to. So in this case, we'll just say we're going to call it the Munich customer service. And the reply email address is going to be our standard one, which is on our website. It goes on our promos and everything. That's hello@munich.co.uk. So once I've done that, I can hit create email profile. We'll come back to the tracking domains. Okay, so here's my my Munich demo email profile. You can see I've got my sender details down here. And then if I go to the response, you can see I've got that reply name that I set up and that reply email address. So I mentioned about the tracking. Tracking is the domain through, it's a bit complicated. It's the domain through which links clicked in your emails get redirected. And so what happens is you put a link and say to your website on your email, it will send traffic initially through the tracking domain before it eventually points the user who clicked that link to the actual destination.
So it's the way that we, as in mmunicMail, track who's clicked what.
Exactly. It's so then you'll be able to attribute all the engagement properly and effectively because it's passed through that initial tracking domain.
So when it comes to the reports, you'll see who's clicked what.
Exactly. Nice and simple, Teresa. This is why you're here.
It's simpler.
Yeah. So you can have a custom tracking domain as well. But even if you don't set one up, that's you can use the default one. But how do we go and about setting up our custom domains, and why do we do it? So I'm going to jump straight back to my slideshow now, if that's all right. well, we've covered that a bit. Can you tell I've not done this before? I'm all out of order.
No.
Oh, thanks. That's very kind. Right. Your default sending domain, like I said, is mailer.munich.email. And the way we set up custom domains is by adding DNS records to your chosen domain. And if that makes it sound like I'm speaking a different language, it's simply because I actually am. DNS records are a technical bit of information that get added to your domain that tells visitors to that domain what to do and where. So they're used to control things like when people type in our case, munich.co.uk, send them to our website. When people email munich.co.uk, send them to our inboxes. So
show us how it works, Charlotte.
Okay, I'll do that.
Sorry.
No, it's fine.
Just while Charlotte's gonna go and show us how to do that, you'll probably already gather that Charlotte, I will call is the techie person. I'm the gentle, softy person, and I'm all about how the customer interacts with it. So we make a good team.
Yeah. Okay, right. So if I go to my settings and let's say, well, I don't want to use mailer.munich.co.uk. I want to use mmunicMail.co.uk. If I open this drop-down list, I can go to authenticate a domain. And I'm going to put in mail.mmunicmail.co.uk and hope that I haven't already verified it, actually. And I'm going to hit the table view results.
So I'm a little confused now because you said you're going to use the @Munich, so it's going to come up as the @mmunicMail.
Yeah, you'll be able to do that.
Right, okay.
Basically. But you'll also notice that what I did is I put in mail.munich.
Yeah, hence my...
Right, okay. So that's me wanting to create a subdomain on the root domain. And the reason why we do that is because your day-to-day emails, for example, that you use through Outlook or Gmail or whatever, also have DNS records on that domain to do with mail. If we set up a subdomain, e.g. mailer dot or mail dot or marketing dot yourdomain.com.co.uk or whatever, what we're doing is actually stopping the email marketing traffic getting conflated with the day-to-day email traffic. And therefore, email servers aren't likely to get confused or mistrust the domain. Why would they get confused? Because of stuff like spam protection. Does that make sense? No, it probably doesn't make sense.
So really what you're saying is when you're sending an email, from a recipient point of view, it's coming from mmunicMail.
Yeah.
So it's not coming from, MailChimp. Because I know, MailChimp's absolutely fantastic platform. I mean, it is, but it lacks some things I know mmunicMail has. And one of those things is, unless you pay a fortune, that it's coming from your domain.
Mm-hmm.
So it doesn't look like you're using an email platform.
Yeah,
if exactly. You go into it.
Yeah. Anyway, I've gone into the process of starting to authenticate this domain. And what it's given me, in my technical knowledge, is a bunch of DNS records. If this means diddly squat to you, don't you worry about it. All you need to do is hit this share button. It will give you a link, and then you send that link to someone who does know to update. Yeah.
Or your IT provider or the person that sorts your emails out.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. So we copy that link, we open up a new email and we say, "Hi, Terry from IT. Please, can you add these records to our thing so I can use email marketing?" Quite simple. If you don't have an IT team and you registered your website, say with 123reg, GoDaddy, something like that, use their support services as well, because they will be able to help you get those DNS records in. I know people don't tend to like raising support tickets, but that's what they're there for, to help people who don't understand websites and domains utilize them. And then even if you get nowhere with that, speak to us. We'll be able to help. And that might include buying you a new domain so that you can use it seamlessly and without the stress of needing to manage this yourself. It is one of the benefits that we can offer. So, okay, hypothetically, let's say I go away now and I add all those records to my DNS, or I get my IT team to do it. What I'd then be able to do is from this screen, I'd hit run tests, and it would go and find those records, and it would say this domain is ready to use. So was that fair?
That's fine. I think, you know, from a setting up point of view, I think, yeah, that's absolutely fine. I'm keen to know how we do the email, Charlotte.
Yeah, I know. This is it's unfortunate that we start with the dullest part, really.
If you're still with us, it gets it more interesting.
Yeah, this is the sexy bit. This is the fun bit, and that's making pretty emails. So to do that, we jump onto our template screen, and then in the top right, you've got a nice big button. Oh, I think our pictures are in the way.
Oh, okay.
The nice big button.
Ask the mic. I'll just say, Mike, yes, you do. Yes, you do.
Oh.
Okay, I'll move our pictures now. Sorry. There we go.
There we are. Now you can see the big green button. Beautiful. New template. And what it's going to do is going to give you a bunch of different options.
Can you just go back, because I missed it? Can you just go back to where you got this from?
Okay, so I went into templates. Big green button, new template. And then we have got 5 different options for how we're going to build it.
And I'm just going to clarify, this is how you create your emails to send.
Cool.
It's a question as much as a statement.
Yeah. Okay. I don't think I need to answer it, but that's me being autistic. Right. So if you are a HTML pro, you can use mmunicMail to upload your own template, but actually most people use the drag and drop editor. So if you toggle to that, what it's going to do is it gives you a bunch of pre-made designs that you can choose from. I'm going to go with the blank canvas though, so you can see what it looks like from scratch. So then we've got to give it an internal description. So I'm going to call this a Facebook review email. It's probably worth saying that the email that we're going to be building today is us as a company pretending that we're asking customers to leave us a review on Facebook. So that's what I'm going to call it. And then we're going to give it a subject line. Now, the subject line is the thing that your users actually see when the email lands in your inbox. And we can put all sorts into it. We can put emojis and personalization. But I'm going to keep this relatively simple. So I'm
going to say simple is good, though. Simple is good for many reasons, really, because you've only got something like 0.7 of a second to get somebody's attention with this subject line. And if you're putting too much in it or not, you know, people they're not going to, the subject line is the thing that's going to make people want to open the email.
Exactly.
So think about it before when you do it.
Yeah. And then the other thing we've got to choose is the email profile that this template is going to go from. So this is handy if, say, you've got an email template that you want to go from, you know, say a support email versus a marketing email versus, let's say, Teresa, you want to send emails to come from yourself.
I was going to say it's more if you've got a number of people in your company that want to send emails, but they're all using the system, they would at this point select their own email. Yeah. Or if you've got somebody doing it on your behalf, this is where you would select the email, as in, you know, somebody in your company that does all the email marketing, but it's coming from Teresa rather than from Charlotte. You'd pick that. Yeah.
Okay. We can change all these things afterwards, so don't need to worry about them too much. But for now, we're going to go to another green button down here, which is create a new template. And then we are in the email designer. And you can see this is our canvas, and the only thing it's added in there is a default footer. And the reason it's got the default footer in there is because of this important bit of text here. Click here to unsubscribe. The law is all marketing emails need to have an unsubscribe link to make it easy for recipients to choose without resistance that they don't have to receive them anymore. This is the standard one that we put in. It comes with a bit of standard whiff-waff in it, but so long as that link is in there, you're good. So I'm actually just going to get rid of all this gumph. And I'm going to leave it. I'm going to leave it exactly as is. Apparently, I've got. Oh, it's gone wrong. Got to put it back in.
So because you're doing that, you're putting in your own link because you deleted it by error. Is there any other way, if you deleted it by error, to get that back?
Yeah.
Okay.
Using your Control Z keys. Really.
Control Z key, because it's quite important to know these things, because we all make mistakes.
Yeah.
It's like, I didn't mean to do that. How can I get it back? So Control Z rather than an undo button, would you say?
Yeah. Yes. When it comes to
that guy, Control Z.
My life is Control Z. But yeah, you can put any text in and you can associate the link with it. So this is going to be my footer, and I'm going to make the text small. So this is your standard WYSIWYG editors. Like, you'll probably be familiar with these if you use something like WordPress or even Microsoft Word. So you've got all your standard font controls up here. So I'm going to make this quite small. It's quite standard to put your unsubscribe link quite small, I would say. If not to make it hard for users to unsubscribe, but simply so it doesn't detract from the body of the email. You know what I mean?
Yeah, fine. Let's do the email.
Okay, cool. I have got over here some stuff that I got ready. So I've created a header image, and what I'm going to do is go to my images tab here, and I'm going to drag my 2 images in.
So can you just do that again?
Yeah.
So you went to, what did you go to?
So I've got my computer, computer library here.
So how do you get to that import from asset library?
No, you don't need. Just click on the images here.
Right. Okay. But it's an important step if you don't know how you got to where you are.
Yeah, of course it is. This is why you're here, Teresa, is to slow me down.
It is. The challenge is, and I think it's with any piece of software, when you use it day in, day out, you know exactly where you're going to.
Mm-hmm.
But when you're looking at this for the first time, it's very easy to miss a step, which is why we have recorded this, and you can do it on playback, and you can just keep going back and watching that part.
Yeah, absolutely. So I've got my 2 images in my images library here for the email. Now, how do I go about getting them in there? So if you go to sections, you will see here a load of different pre-configured sections that you can add to your email. They're nicely categorized here, or you can scroll down and just have a peruse. In this case, I'm going to choose the images one. And I've got a single image here, and I drag it in, and there it is, my placeholder. And then I'm going to go back to my images, and I'm going to drag that onto that.
Have you made that image a certain size before you created it first? Yes.
So I created this in Photoshop, but you can also use Canva or anything like that. The key thing is when you're importing images, you want them to be 600 pixels wide at least. And whenever I say that, people will ask me, well, how tall should it be? It doesn't matter, because the way the image displays is all to do with the width of it, and we ask it to be 600 pixels wide at least, is because then it will display well on desktop and mobile.
Okay, I want to contradict you though. Can I?
Go on.
Well, when you say that it doesn't matter how deep it is, when you've got a really deep image and you use something like Outlook to receive your emails, it doesn't download images. So all you're going to see is an empty space.
Yeah.
So therefore, if it's really deep image, you've got a big empty space.
Yeah, that is all correct. From a technical point of view, it doesn't matter. From a user experience point of view,
it does matter.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
I would say the photo depth that you've got up there is perfect, because what it's going to mean is that even if you don't see that image, you will see the text underneath without having to scroll. That's the point.
Yeah. Okay. That is a very fair point, Teresa. Right. So I've got my image in. Now I need to add some text. So I'm going to go back to my sections and I'm going to get the text. And I just want one text block going left to right. Don't need columns or anything. So I'm just going to choose this one, drag that in there, and it puts some standard placeholder text in here. I have already written my email content over here, and I'm not copying all of it because this bit here, I want it to be a button. So I'm just going to copy this first bit.
And that's okay to copy it straight from Word. It doesn't cause any coding issues or anything like that.
No. If it formats weird, you can just then use the formatting options here as well. So let's say in your Word document or whatever, you put in bullet points and say the bullets don't transfer, where you can put them in here.
Yeah. I mean, I would always say have very little formatting in anything you're copying and format it in the email, because it's all HTML code at the end of it, and it can confuse, and the user might see it might not work for the user.
Yeah.
So
Okay. So I've got my first block of text in. Now I want to get my button in. So back to the sections, and I'm going to choose buttons, and I'm going to add a single button in, and then so I've got the link here that I want my button to go to. So copy and paste it. And then how do I get it on the button? If I click on the button, it will open up the settings for this button on the left. So on click, and I choose from the drop-down list the relevant option. And in this case, I want them to visit a web page. So if I click on that, and then I'm going to copy, I'm going to paste my URL into there. Okay. There are a few extra options you can do, but for the most part, just leave them as is. Again, that's one of the fancy bells and whistles that we'll cover in a different webinar. If I open up this bit, then I can now control what the font looks like. So I'm going to set that to be, I'm going to use your favorite font, Teresa, just to really upset people.
It is my favorite font. I didn't realise everybody hated it. I love it.
Okay, and then if I open up the next one, you can see I can now control the color of the button. So I'm going to make that our Munich pink, the famous blow your retinas out and destroy your CPU graphics processor pink, but it works.
Bigger font, please.
Pardon?
Can I have some bigger font?
Of course you can.
Thank you.
Cool. So we have set the button, we've got the color. I want to change the text on it. Change the text on it, just click in. And then I'm going to say, go to Facebook. Beautiful. What a lovely button.
So unlike other platforms, you actually edit directly in the box itself, don't you?
Mm-hmm. Yes, yes. Okay.
Which makes sense.
Yeah. What I'm going to do now is I've got my last bit of text to add in. Sorry, bin men are outside. Maybe you can hear them. That's not bad timing at all, is it?
It's all bin day to day as well, and we live 45 miles away from each other. So I don't think it's the same bin men.
No. Right, so what I've got now is I've just got like this little bit of outro text for my email. And now what I want to do is, you can see I put just email support@munic.co.uk. I want to put a link in there so it will send an email. So what I can do is highlight that text and then use my link button. And instead of the link type being go to a web page, I want it to send an email. So I choose that from the drop down list. And I'm just going to put support@munic.co.uk.
See, I would actually, in that, can you just go back into it, please, Charlotte?
Yes.
When it says message subject, you can leave all that blank. That's absolutely fine. But I always find that a lot of this, when you just like email us and you have this blank email, you're going, I have no idea what to say. Mm-hmm. So I would always put something in the message subject. It's like, even if it is, I need help.
Okay.
You know, and also what happens then is when that email comes to you in your inbox, you know it's come from an email that you've sent.
Yeah, that's true.
So, yeah.
Okay, cool. So the other thing though that we've got here is that's in this pale blue color, right? Which isn't the Munich pink. So, you know, ew. So what I'm going to do is hit edit link. And then I've got this little option here to go to color and style. And I can put in my hex code there. Or if I've already got the color in the email somewhere, it will appear in one of these little boxes. And you can see I've already used that pink. So there it is. Put it in. And now it is Munich pink. And I'll do the same for this one. That's something that we find people miss quite a lot. Actually, their links aren't appearing in the colors they want. That's the way you do it. So I would say that's the one that you want to take note of. So that's all pretty good. But I want to add a little bit of extra formatting. I want that to look like it's not part of the main body of the email. So I'm going to go to sections, and I'm just very quickly going to add in a section divider here. And you'll notice that all the controls for the elements you're dragging onto the canvas are on the left-hand side. So for my divider here, I'm going to make it a little bit bigger. I'm going to make that color also Munich pink. Beautiful. And yeah, now that shows up. That's the end of the email, and that's the footer for it. But there's one thing that I've missed here that I think would be quite nice to have, and that's our logo on the email. So what I'm going to do is go back to the sections, and I'm going to add in a single image again. But this time I'm going to do it a little bit different because I want the logo to appear quite small. So I've made my image 75 pixels wide, and when I add it in now, you can see it's horribly blurry. Yeah, it's really gross, isn't it? But down here on the image options, you can see I've got the option to keep the original image size. And if I turn that on, you can see now it's nice and small, and it's appearing exactly as it should. Let's say I don't want it appearing in the center here. I want it appearing on the left. What I can do is...
You were on that before.
Was I? Where?
Go into the image.
Where? Thanks, Teresa.
You're welcome.
So there you go. Now I've got my logo in. I've got my header image in. I've got my call to action. And I've got my unsubscribe. I've got all the integral things for an email. The one thing that's missing is text-only content. And
I think there's something else missing, Charlotte.
What have I done? Oh, my inbox preview text.
No. Are you going to do a merge tag in there?
Oh, yes. I am going to do that. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. It's quite important. So while Charlotte's just realigning herself because to realise she'd missed it. So the merge tag we're going to use, as we said at the beginning, is the name, the first name of the person it's going to. Yeah. And the reason we do that, or we very strongly suggest you do that, it has been shown that the open rate of an email, when there's somebody can see their first name, their name in the email as they're looking at it, before they've opened it up fully, it's 640% more likely to be opened if you're using the person's name. And that's why we suggest you do it.
So you can see I've got this blank bit here that says hi space. We're going to turn that space into a name. So just put my cursor there, and then we've got this option with the arrow to merge user data. So if I choose that, you'll see I've got all the different options that's in the system.
We'll talk about that in lists, but this is what you,
so I want it to say hi first name. So I pop that in, and then what it does is it puts the merge code in there. The one thing it doesn't do, though, is it doesn't put a default in there. So that means that if I upload a list that has users that don't have names, all it would do is say hi, which is not that embarrassing, but you can get some serious email gaffes going if you don't have data that's relied on to do good merging. So what we can do, though, is set what's called a fallback, which is basically the default value that it's going to go to if it doesn't, in this case, find a first name. And I've written that bit of code onto my notepad here.
So this would be code that you've written. This isn't something that you can put in through mmunicMail.
So it is. You can set defaults up elsewhere in the system.
But just for this purpose.
Yes. Yeah. And that's something that we will definitely cover on a follow-up webinar all about personalization, because there's so many intricacies to do with it. It is an incredibly powerful tool that everyone should be utilizing to the best of their ability, but it's not something I can cover in 45 to an hour. So what I've got here is hi contact's first name, and then you can see I've got a default that says customer. So that means if I don't find a first name, can you say hi customer, which is perhaps not very nice. So I'm going to change that to.
I was going to say
hi there.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Hi customer.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So that's how we get our personalization in there. You can also add extra personalization. It might be worth adding, including stuff like date. So that could be useful, say, if you're using the system to send out important notice emails. Like in the same way you put a date on a letter, some people do like to put the date on an email. Again, that might be useful if, say, you're notifying people that their subscription is going to expire in 2 weeks or a month or whatever. That might be why you want to merge the date in. Okay, so now we've got our HTML version. We're going to go and build our text-only version. And to do that, we toggle to this option up here. And to make it really simple, you can just hit auto-generate. But it's going to look really weird. So you see that nice email that we built with all the images and everything? The text-only content is literally as it says. There is no images and there is no formatting. So why do we have it? Well, importantly, some of you users may have it so that they only receive text-only emails. That might be like, say, if they're using a mailbox that has very limited space, that can't afford to download big images and have lots of formatting in it. But as well as that, the text-only content is actually read by things such as Apple smartwatches and smart speakers. Because, of course, on a smartwatch, you can't, to my knowledge at the moment, get big images displaying on, that tiny screen there. So it defers to the text-only content to tell the user what the email is. And in the same way as your smart speaker.
Before you carry on, Mike's asked a really good question.
Yeah.
The more links that you put in an email, does it impact? And I mean, this is links to go here, go there, like you've done the button to the Facebook page. There might be other things that you want to do. Does it impact the spam? Do you get more spam?
If
spam blockers, that's right. If you've got more links, does it affect spam blockers?
No. What does affect is if you try and add Mike, I know you're quite technical, so hopefully you'll understand what I'm saying. If you add UTMs to your link and then add it to to the platform, that makes it more likely to go to spam because it's a UTM on top of a redirect going through the tracking.
If you've got questions at the end, what a UTM is, I would say ask at the end. But okay. Yeah, so there you go. Thank you.
Okay, no problem. So what I've done is I've generated my text only content, and it's come out quite neat. I put in a little bit of formatting here because I still want to demark that that's the footer and that's the email content. So I just put what I like to do is just literally do a few hyphens to mark the difference. Okay. And that's it. That's the crux of our email designer. The best thing you can do is just jump in and have a play and just get used to the controls, the options to find out how to create what you're looking to create. For now, though, I'm going to hit Save Template. Of course, the thing is now we see what it looks like in the email. Yes.
Could you go back into the because there was a place where you put a snippet and we didn't do that.
No, we didn't. That's because I'm condensing here, Teresa.
I know, but I think because if you miss it, it's not that important. But it's I know you're condensing, but it's a bit of the text that you get. So again, if you're looking on, while Charlotte put something in, if you're looking on Outlook, I use Outlook, and you get some writing that comes alongside so you can see what's in the email before you go into the email itself. So that's why it's quite a useful thing to do, because people can see what they're opening. You know, it's a bit of enticement.
The important thing is if you don't set it, what it does is it will pick up the first few words of the email itself. So it's not like it will be blank or anything. It's just if you have a lot of text before the body of your email, it will choose that instead of.
That's fine. I do think that's quite an important part to get the emails opened. That's what we're here for. I think that's the difference with us here at Munich, really. We care about you getting your emails open, so we will help you every way we can with that.
Yeah.
I know other platforms, you can do it on other platforms, but they don't prompt you to do it. And if you don't do it, it just says you can write a bit of text in here. So, yeah, mmunicMail doesn't do that. It's not mean.
Okay. I've designed my email. And now I want to see, before it lands in all my recipients' inboxes, what it's going to look like. Because seeing it on the screen is one thing. Let's make sure it still looks nice on the inbox. It's in the inbox itself. So to do that, I'm just going to jump to the testing screen. And you can see, because I'm a user, it's already got my username, email address that I can jump in and just send myself a quick test. So I'm going to choose that. And I can choose
yourself a test at this point.
Yes, an inbox test. So I can add a note. So I might want to call this version 1. If you're sending it to someone else and you want them to be able to leave you direct feedback or even tick approve to, let it be sent, you can choose this option down and toggle between these options. But because I'm just sending it to myself, I don't need to approve it, so I'm just going to hit send text.
That's a really important feature that I don't know of on any other email marketing platform, actually. So if you've got a team of people that need to approve this email, or you just want to send it to someone and you need their approval, or you need them to give you some feedback, that's what use that. And they don't have to be it's just a great feature, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Sometimes it takes a little while for the test to come through. So you'll see it saying queued, and then eventually it'll move to delivered. And then when it's opened, it will say opened.
Can you scroll to the top while we're just waiting for that, please? Can you go into the preview tab just so we can see on that? I mean, just because it's there, and I know that you can look at it, how it's going to look on your desktop to how it's going to look somewhere else. And I think that's also important.
Yes, I will do that. Let me just refresh the screen now. So this is our desktop view, and now I can see what it might look like on a mobile.
Yeah, so in light to the question that Mike asked about the width, what's the ideal width of an image? Like you said, it's a minimum of 600, but you ideally up to 1200 really, because then if you've got a larger screen, which most of us have these days, we're sat at our desk, it will look better.
Yes.
It will look better than 600, because otherwise it is just 600, but it will fill it up and it will look better. However, mmunicMail has that ability, so when you're looking at it on your mobile, it still looks good. You're not got a big wide image. It still looks good.
Yes,
it's quite intelligent, mmunicMail.
It's worth saying that this preview as well is built around like very old screens. I think it's modeled on like an iPhone 5 or something. So this is basically the worst or the smallest that your email is going to look. So it's always handy to gauge those metrics and get that idea of how it's going to work. Okay, right. We built an email now, and the next thing to do is figure out who we're going to send it to. So I have got a spreadsheet here full of Duff email. Well, they're not Duff email addresses. They are all real email addresses, but it's a combination of you and me and the rest of the Munich team, Teresa. And you can see what I've got here in the first column is email address. Now, because it's an email marketing system, it's every record needs to have an email address. Like, I know it sounds really obvious, but that's what we're going to say. It needs to be a valid email address, because the system will automatically filter out, rubbish email addresses. It won't be able to tell you if the email address is correct and it has typos in it, but it will check to see if it follows the format of an email address. Okay, and then what else I've got in here is I've got first names, I've got last names, I've got the company, and then I've got two made up fields here that I've done for this demo. One is the account manager, and two is the last purchase date. So we can have as many as 30 custom fields, and I will tell you what custom fields are after we've taken a look at what the standard fields are. So jump into the system, and to get there, we're going to go to lists and users, and we are going to have a look at field name. Oh no, we're going to have a look at field maps. So these are the system standard fields. So we've got email address, reference number, salutation, all the basic things that you might put in, say, your standard address book, really. Those are all considered standard fields. But then at the bottom here, we have 30 fields that we can rename to suit our business. Okay? So I can see up here that, where is it? Company name, for example, is a standard custom field. But in my data, I've got account manager and I've got last purchase date, and those are not standard fields. So let's set them up as custom fields. To do that, under lists and users, go down to field name labels. And so I've got custom field 1, and I'm now going to call that account manager, and I'm going to call the next one last purchase date. And then once I've added those in, I'm going to hit Save Changes. And now I've got this list. I've saved it as an Excel sheet, but I'm now going to save it as a CSV. So to do that in your software, I'm using Excel at the moment. You go to File, Save As, and then change the format there. If you're using Google Sheets, you can go to Download and then choose the CSV format. So save that there. And now we are going to go back to the Lists and Users tab, and big green button at the top again, New List. So I'm going to call this Demo List. And then from my computer library again, I am going to drag in to the bottom there my CSV sheet. That's the core we need to do, but there are some extra options here. We could choose a field map to upload our data, but for this demo, I'm going to choose to preview the file and match the columns to fields. And then also I'm going to leave the setting as I'm opting these users in. I'm not uploading people who've opted out, for example. So I go in and I hit upload data now, and it's going to give me that preview. So what it does now is it looks through that sheet, finds the columns, and then it's going to ask us to map them against the fields. So helpfully, it's already worked some of them out. So the email address, it follows the format of an email address. So it's put it as an email address. And then first name, it's recognized that as a first name. Last name, it's picked up that the heading is last name, and the same with company. Now, it doesn't know what to do with the account manager field. So what I do is in this drop-down list, I'm going to scroll down to my new fields that I've just created called account manager and my last purchase date. And there we go. Does that all make sense, Teresa?
It does, yeah.
Is it dry as dishwater? It's awful, isn't it?
Well, no, it's not dry as dishwater. No, I don't think it is. I think this is important stuff. I think, you know, and this is with love, obviously, Charlotte. We've been on the call for 50 minutes. Yeah, people are probably coming to the end of. I know Mike's just had to go. Coming to the end of what they can absorb now.
Yeah. So, well, we're nearly there as well.
Yeah.
So, okay, we've mapped our fields, and now I hit continue, and it's going to go ahead and put all that data in the right place, and we will have created our list. Hooray! Nice and easy. Just takes a little minute. It's a bit where we could do with your ukulele, Teresa.
If I had it ready, I have some. They're in a drawer.
So my list only had 9 people on it, so you can see it's now got 9 active users. Under the users tab, I can see all of those users that I've uploaded. And when I did it, the only thing I would encourage everybody to take note of at this point is under the history tab, you have this cheeky little toggle, and it's called automated data cleanup. And what that means is we can't, as a matter of good data protection practice, leave data sitting in the system without being actively used. So what that means is if I upload a list and then I leave it for 2 years' time, it will be swept up because I'm not using it. I'm just storing it without seemingly good purpose. So what it will do then is it will clean those up. And you can see right now that based on the last time I used this list, which was just now because I've only just uploaded it, if I do nothing else, this is the date that data will get cleaned up. Now, it's never a one-size-fits-all. So if you do have a list that you know perhaps you're only going to use on a very irregular ad hoc basis, and you need to clean it up, you can choose, save it from being cleaned up. You can choose to turn this off.
And remember to save the changes.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, that, you know, something that it's so important. I mean, I always use the example, if you're in a bed shop and your bed's got a 10-year guarantee, well, and you're emailing people just before that 10-year guarantee is up, well, you want to keep that list for 10 years. Yeah. I know that's an extreme example. So you definitely need to make sure that's not being cleaned up. However, if it is, you know, it's good, whatever the word is. Practice, yeah, to make sure that you do use your data, because then when you do send it, it's more likely to get into the inbox. They're more likely to respond to it. So, you know, lots of things to think about. But obviously, we're always here for a call or a chat if you've got any questions on anything like that when you're using your list, what you should do. Yeah. Okay, so that's us uploading a very basic, simple list, adding a couple of custom fields. That's great. So we've got the list, we've got our email, we're ready to send it. Nice and simple. Jump back into the templates tab. And then you can see here's the email that I designed earlier on in the call. And then all I do now is hit send campaign. And don't worry, that green button does not send your campaign straight away because you've got lots of other things to choose first. So because I know that is somebody, it's like, oh, if I press send campaign, it's because you're going to go. No, it's not. No. What we're doing is we're starting the process of sending that campaign. And these are our pre-flight checks that I talked about. So what you'll see on this screen is a summary. You've got the email template name. You've got the subject line you're going to use. You can see the email profile it's going to go from and including the email address. You can see a little preview of your template, of course. But now we do the bit where we choose who are we sending it to. So we go to our list selection. And I've only uploaded one list,
but you can say I'm going to include these users. If I've got lots of lists, you can choose to send it to multiple ones. And you can also choose to, well, if I've got users on my master list, but then I've got users on an exclusion list, I can also choose to include that list, but exclude them if they're on doing.
There's lots of connotations, basically. So you can
marketing algebra now.
Yeah, so it's making sure that it gets to the people that you want to get it to. You can have multiple lists. It's not a problem. There's no limit. And if you're concerned that you're going to maybe send them to others, because we've only chosen one list, it doesn't come up. But there is a button that will say, make sure that nothing's duplicated.
Yeah.
You're not sending it more than once.
Exactly. Exactly. Okay, so we've got our campaign description, and now we've got our send date and time. I always recommend scheduling your emails. And even if that means, well, it's 11:56 now, I'm going to wait, say, for it to go until at 12 o'clock. It just gives you a few minutes to check everything. And that time to still cancel it if, say, like, I don't know, you notice a typo or something like that. And then we got our queue loading rate. For the most part, that's irrelevant, but it's a case of if you want emails to go really fast or you want to slow them down, it only really applies if you're sending emails in the thousands, which not many people do, to be fair. But then the bit that you love, Teresa, we've got this little button up here for automated retargeting. And these are the two gobbledygook words I mentioned in the overview that will now make some sense. So what this does is that if I choose this option, I can set it up now that I say want to resend the campaign to anybody who doesn't open it within, I don't know, I think it defaults to 3 days. But if I click into
change that.
Pardon? Yeah.
You can change that. And I would say I would do it for 24 hours personally, because that's optimum.
Okay. But I'm actually going to set it for Monday because, of course, tomorrow's a Saturday. And
that's a very good point.
Yeah, so I'm going to click in here and I'm going to, default it to Monday. And then under here, I can choose the users. So I want to resend this to anybody who doesn't open. But you can see I've got lots of different options. Again, it's worth taking the time just to explore them. At this point, I can also choose to rename, give it the email a new subject line. So at this point, I'm going to say, well, if they didn't open it the first time, I'm going to now use some personalization in the subject line by clicking that button there. And I'm going to say, I want it to say that, and I want to say, we're going to be, because we're asking people to leave a review, we have a favor to ask.
Okay.
Okay, and then I'll hit save.
The email template first, though.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
It's all right. I thought you're going to do it, and then you didn't.
No.
I'm not going to tell you because you might do it.
So, okay, at this point now we've checked out, we've done our pre-flight checks, we've chosen who we're sending it to, we've chosen when we're sending it, and we're also choosing to set up a follow-up campaign to anyone who doesn't open. Now I can just hit confirm delivery. And what it's done is it's now taken that template from there and it's copied it into the campaigns. And you can see it's got this little icon here, which means it's going to be sent. It's not actually started sending. But now I have 6 different pages of analytics that I can stare obsessively at after my campaign started sending. Don't do that. It's not healthy. But people do love to do and just sit and look at the analysis and the response to see how their users are engaging with it, because this now updates every few minutes once the campaign started being sent, and it will bring data in that quickly for you. So I'm just going to return to my presentation, my slides. My takeaway here from sending campaigns and using the reporting.
We are running out of time, just so you're aware.
I know. Well, this is my last slide, so don't you worry.
You've got 30 seconds.
30 seconds. Oh, there we go. I guess we'll send the slides afterwards in case
I
anybody
think we
wants
will
some written notes.
send the slides. I have just put a message in to say if anybody has got any questions about that, to email me directly. So that's t.cornell@mmunic.co.uk, and I have put that in the chat if anybody wants to email, and we will answer any questions that you have. Sorry, Charlotte, I know you get so carried away with what you're doing.
Oh, I think we both do, but mostly me.
Well, that's only because you were presenting this time and I'm not. I mean, I know that the webinar saying, you know, we're still on, but I'm very aware if we say an hour, please let's not go over.
All right.
Personal hate of mine.
Well, dump us some feedback, ask us questions, and hopefully you have all found this useful.
Yeah.
And otherwise, enjoy your Fridays and weekends.
Yeah, you can go and have a lie down in a dark room now. Right, thanks, guys. I know Mike's gone, but thanks for the questions, Mike. They were perfect questions. Anybody got any questions, as I say, Teresa, t.cornell, it's in the chat, @mmunic.co.uk. Anything I can't answer, don't worry, I'm going to pass them over to Charlotte.
But not let me respond to them directly.
Possibly not. No, I'm going to decipher them first. Right, thanks, guys.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.